This is the story of a DragonFae. A story once told upon a time long ago. A star was born from a nursery nest deep in space. Its journey began through the universe, lost in a crazy house of mirrors, till it got pulled into some star's orbit. Tagging along for a ride on a highway express through space, its journey went all the way to the center womb of a mother planet, bearing life. Through her veins and root canals, that joyride leads into a lotus flower. Now with this little star glowing inside of the bulb, the flower blossoms above waters. In the center of this new lotus lies a tiny sparkly creature in a fetus position, with flimsy wings wiping the stardust off of her silvery skin. And then she winks and takes a first breath. Above her, dragonflies cheer, "Happy birthday!" The trees shake off their birds at once. Fairies surround the lotus by the dozens, peeking in curiosity from all life forms and tribes. Her silvery silken hair and pointy ears, skin like stardust, diamond on a forehead, and deep black midnight eyes. Insect wings with some feathers, and scales on her tail. She was born into the Water Clan. The river dragons appeared to welcome this new spirit into our world, blowing rainbow flames all around her, infusing life into her wings. This made her wings strong and light, holding upright, and now she takes first flight. Merfolk squirt water into the air in celebration, and fairies cast spells for the effect. Quickly, the Council of Tribes hear of the news and know what this means next. This fairy, dragon, bird, fish creature with a diamond horn was unheard of. The Council were certain that this was a product of hybrid associations. But due to the cosmic alignment, which opened galactic portals and the meteor showers that took place in the night before, there was no doubt in mind that this creature was the offspring of the star nations and of the earth herself, a star seedling. She could take any shape she wanted. Legs, tail, wings, no wings, hands, talons. There was no stopping her. She rubs her diamond and anything she's imagining manifests instantly, even when she sneezes. The dragons invite her to follow them to the great tree, where all gather to conduct the official welcoming ceremony and tribe assignments. You had to go over the lake, past the flower fields, through the orchard, and there you were, the sacred sanctuary tree, tallest of them all, with leaves like fuzzy blankets. Pixies would use to windsurf their way down to the Circle Coliseum, which stood before it. It had a center stage, holding 4 pillars. Each pillar holds one element. As all the elemental beings of this queendom gather and sit with their respective tribes and clans, the dragons circle above. The unicorns appear, the centaurs, the high elves, forest elves, gnomes, the merclans, the gofling, the sprites, the nymphs, the fauns, and most importantly, the high priestess. The priestess welcomed the starseed onto the center stage, and almost immediately the music began to play, signaling the arrival of the queen. The fairy queen of the 4 elements appears in a flash of light. Descending from her tree, she was escorted by an alicorn and a winged lion down to the center stage. All bow in the queen's presence, and she bows back to all. The river dragon approaches the queen, gesturing towards the seedling, all in awe of her sparkle. In marvel and in gratitude, the queen sends a spiral of flowers into the air, signaling the debut of the ceremony. All cheer and celebrate! Yay! Yay! Woo-hoo! It's quite simple, you see. Each pillar holds an element. Whichever element reacts to you will become your tribe and chore assignments, which ultimately means that your talents are how you can best serve in this realm. The ceremony only initiates the process of self-discovery. As the starseed walks towards the center of the grid, there are engravings onto the stone floor, and the starseed steps onto the center. Now, this was quite the spectacle. Not only did all 4 elements react vivaciously, but new sections of the grid were activated as well. The entire grid lit up in ivory blue, and new pillars grew from the ground, introducing new elements into the realm. Is this truly as prophecy foretold? The Avatar, master of all elements, teacher of cosmic law? To maintain balance and heed spiritual growth? Could it be? Now, 8 elements stand before the council. The alicorn and the griffin immediately feel the effects of the emergence of these new elements and jump onto their hind legs. The fairy queen of the realm knows what this means next and flies toward the newborn DragonFae and lifts her baby face towards Her Majesty's face and names her Zenaida, the light of God. At that very moment, the Empress Queen took Zenaida by the hand and escorted her back into the palace. As quickly as the news spread of this DragonFae's birth, so did the news of her magical abilities. The news had reached the ears of the Dog Emperor outside the borders of the fairy realm, which enticed his hunger for power. The Dark Emperor's greed led him to devise a master plan to lure his newborn DragonFae into his clutches. Every story that's once been told has truly existed some way before, all coming from the same source, a pool of thoughts taking form. Imagination. I nation. I imagine a nation of mages. I, the mage of the I nation. The image from within, this collective consciousness of memory, is the mystery. My story now taking fold as when I was born. I was loved by all, showered by gifts at every turn. All adored my beauty and complimented my eyes. I was nearly good at anything I put my heart to. I just so much flew right through my swimming classes and dance classes. I could fly faster than an arrow. Did you know that the world holds still when you go at those speeds? That's why I had to follow rules. My fairy godmother was asked to be responsible for my well-being and teach me the arts of the elemental queendom. She would monitor my health growth, process and report everything to the council. The queen's sister was known for her ability to manage a workforce of dwarves, as sleazy or as grumpy as they get. She used to work in the mines with them and fuel the city with energy. Now that her previous mission was complete, she was assigned to look after me. She wakes me up early, teaches me the names of the clan leaders of each elemental tribe, the maps of our queendom, the seasons, reading, writing, physical tests, psychic tests, calendaring, dance lessons, math, martial arts, music, moose story. The fairy queen had adopted me as her own child, Princess of Moon. Which means that the queen's sister, my godmother, was my babysitter, teaching me everything about everything. My favorite superpower was no magic at all. When I needed to solve a problem, do puzzles, make a drawing, or weave a hat, just jumping in the mud and making a mud man. It's just that. There's something so special about the textures and the temperatures, the sensorial experience from touching the earth, the wood, the water, even fire. I love jumping through fire. I'm so fast that I could jump through giant flames and it wouldn't burn me. I saved over 55 forest gnomes and animals. Springtime and autumn are the busiest seasons of the year. There's always someone in urgent need of help, such as weaving new baskets for collecting enough food to survive the winter, tucking forest animals into bed for hibernation, collecting pollen in the spring to ensure each flower gets kissed by pixie dust. For a good summer bounty, there's always something to do. Pan, a weird-looking fawn, is my best friend. He's always looking out for me to make sure I don't get into trouble with my godmother. He's always been a bit of a scaredy cat, but is the only friend that I've connected with who brings me so much joy. We're always inventing new contraptions and daring each other to do weird things. One day, I dared Pam to cross the borders of the realm into the dark forest, but he was so scared I had to hold his hand all the way there. Just as we were about to reach the gate, the clouds gathered rapidly, and from the tempest, Valkyries appeared on their chariots. Freya, their leader, told us that we knew better than to cross into the dark forest. I told Freya that I'm not afraid of anything, and that nothing can hurt me, for I am Zenaida, the light of God. Freya looked down at me, nodding with a compassionate grin. She knew what real dangers lied outside the safety of the fairy realm. She realized that I truly had no idea what I was talking about, so she mounted me into her chariot and escorted me back to the palace. boy, oh boy, was I ever in trouble. I was brought to the throne room. My godmother found the dummy me I put in my bed, and my mother didn't seem to be bothered. My godmother started reciting the rules and regulations that I had just broken in the last 24 hours, and my mother simply waved her hand in the air to silence her sister. My mother told me there is great darkness beyond the borders of our realm, which I seldom know about. My godmother will one day show me the reality of the dark forest, whence I grew into maturity. But for the time being, I was asked to remain within the palace walls, to resume my studies and think hard about the consequences of disobeying my godmother and the council again. Yep, I was officially grounded, and all I wanted to do was prove that I could take care of myself, and that I was strong enough for any challenge. I mean, just look at me. I could bend metal, make the winds blow like thunder. I touch the earth and flowers blossom. I breathe fire. My horn is now fully grown, allowing me to levitate objects. And water, I can move mountains and fly higher than the clouds. But here I am, stuck in a room, forced to think about what? My absolute boredom? I'll show them. Besides, I'm the light of God, here to save the world from darkness. What could possibly go wrong? Tuk, tuk, book. Who's throwing pebbles at my window? Oh, Pan! Perfect timing. My dummy me won't work a second time. This time, I've created a hologram that will interact with Godmother, so she'll never notice the difference. I flew right out of my window, I grabbed Pan's arm, and took off in a flash. Pan was trembling at this point because he knew I had a plan, and he wasn't going to like it. My plan is to show my strength and courage to the council. I will cross over to the dark forest through the underground tunnels, although no one knows where the tunnels are. That's why I did some digging in the library and brought a map. Pan knew that he had no choice, because he knew I was deceiving myself and could get in a lot of trouble. We found the boulder that blocked the entrance of the tunnel, and I quickly flew us through the tunnel into the dark forest. I was ready for a heroic quest, to prove to the council that I got what it takes to save the dark forest. And there I was, the echoing cries for help. I flew to the voice and reached a poor old man who was stuck under his trolley. The side wheel had broken, and he was bleeding? I quickly approached, and a giant net fell upon me. I tried to escape, but my powers were useless. Many dark figures approached while laughing cynically. Their large hands pinned me down and cut off my horn in a single blow. I immediately fell into a coma, and my wings wrapped around my body and turned into a hard shell cocoon. The dark men laughed about how I must be dead, and that they now have the power to vanquish magic for all of eternity. They walked away to bring their newfound treasure to the Dark Emperor, leaving me behind. Out of the bush came Pan, crying. He grabbed my cocooned body and carried me back like a baby in his arms. Through the tunnel and to the palace, he informed the queen of everything that had just happened, and this event raised the alarms, and the council was called to meet at once. Thank you for listening to the story of the DragonFae, Episode 1. This is Zenaida. Remember to subscribe and visit my Patreon page for more content. Have a lovely day!